Hello and welcome to This Week in Property. I'm your host, Richard Swan, and in today's show, we have a fabulous guest. I'm going to give you his name first of all, before I start to let you know how excited I am about this. It's a gentleman by the name of Steve Hand. Steve, hello, sir, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Rich. Great to meet you. Great to see you and everyone else.
Absolutely. And we already know each other, which is part of my excitement. So full disclosure, listeners and viewers, I already know this fantastic man who is a wizard in the finance and funding world. I'll tell you, he can solve a lot of problems for you if you let his team help you. I know him because through Paul McFadden's training programs like Property Protege and Platinum, so on, I've seen Steve, worked with him, etc. And he has helped just countless people. It's just amazing seeing him doing that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited. Second reason, this is a big relaunch day because Steve's business, which is Express Mortgages, and whenever it's safe to do so, go to expressmortgages.co.uk. They're doing a big relaunch today, which is exciting stuff. So that's great having him on today. But it's great to now give him out to the wider world, you know, the general public, because I've seen him working all of his magic inside that sheltered private world of these people who all work together in a very exclusive community. So this is fantastic for me to actually share him on This Week in Property. So there you go, Steve. I've set the tone, I've set the standards. I'm sure you're going to match it because I've seen the magic you do, which is brilliant. Big relaunch. Are you excited?
Yeah, very excited. Yeah. It's a new chapter, and I've got big aspirations. I know that it's going to work. I've seen like how powerful things are since February 2020 when I joined Protege and Platinum, and what we've done over the last few weeks alone, few months, you know, with you guys being on board, it's just it's taking things to a new level. So yeah, can't wait.
Fantastic. It really is. I'm so delighted as well because I know that Paul at our end, Paul McFadden, for so long, he's been pestered, you know, as you can imagine, being in the property world, everyone pesters him, you know, who's your solicitor, who's your broker, who's so-and-so. And he's always very protective because, you know, he doesn't want to swamp people that aren't able to manage those inquiries. He doesn't want to give up too much of a good thing to too many people. You know, he wants to know that the right people will work with them. So I know he's always been very cagey with that. So you've definitely proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that, you know, he's more than keen to recommend your team because he knows that your team can handle it and they can deliver and they can help so many people. And let's face it, you've not just been going for the last 6 months or so. This is a long thing. So, you know, share the story about Express Mortgages, how long he's been going and how on earth did it all start?
Yeah, it's been going 17 years now. Wow. In September. And that's when we opened our doors in Wigan Town Centre, just a little shop there in the middle of town centre. And we've moved a few times. I started off in the industry in 2000. I worked for a company as a self-employed advisor for 4 years. And that's where I kind of cut my teeth, learned a lot working for that particular firm. And Paul and I decided to leave that business because we wanted to set up on our own. There was something that happened within the business that just kind of, we then didn't really have trust in the owner anymore. And I think when that happens, you've got to move. So that was our decision. We moved, never looked back. You know, we started from scratch, had no clients at all. And within the first 12 months, we were bombed out. We needed to take on another advisor, an administrator. So yeah, 17 years later, we're still here. Been through credit crunches, recessions, litigation, all sorts. It's not knocked us. Well, we might have fell over once or twice, but you know we've got back up. So,
yep, still standing.
Still standing.
It says a lot. It really does. You know, these recessions, pandemics, Brexits, you name it. We'll no doubt touch upon all that stuff, so I can get your thoughts, get your opinions on things. And Paul, that's Paul Rawson. He's your main business partner. Is that right?
Yeah. Paul and I worked together for a few years and set up together 17 years ago.
Brilliant stuff. Now, let's get into some nitty-gritty stuff, because I know there are so many people you can help. The magic that I've seen behind this very exclusive curtain is where you've been solving so many problems for so many people, because I call you the man on the finance desk. We come in every week, we've got our weekly calls, you support everyone, you're answering questions all the time, you're helping so many people find the right products, the right lenders, the whole brokerage that you've got so many contacts. It's unbelievable, because I think the amateur outside in the general public, all they know is the high street banks. That's all they know. I'm going to get my mortgage for my house. So that's all they know. Then you've got the kind of, what would you call them, amateur investor, who they realise, well, actually, when it comes to things like buy-to-lets and stuff, rather than those guys, I'm going to other people like the Mortgage Works or Birmingham Migshires, etc., etc. And then you've got the real professionals who've been in the trenches for a long time, and they know that it's a much, much bigger playing field. And the contacts that your team have got is just crazy. I mean, the amount of times I've seen someone coming with a problem where their previous broker they've not been able to deliver it, or the lenders just pulled the thing at the very last minute, or sometimes there's maybe something unique about the property, the construction types, and it has to stop. And then your team swoop in with the capes on and say, right, okay, listen, we've got 2 other options for you to look at. We've got 4 other options over here to look at. And all of a sudden, you produce these miracles. So it's fantastic to see. Now, an observation I've seen, and keep me right here because you've been in this game so long, the thing that differentiates a lot of people making their journey easier is being proactive rather than reactive. That kind of amateur investor who runs about mad at the start, really excited, finds a property, and then goes, right, how do I fund it? They seem to struggle, and it seems to be a harder challenge, where I've seen a lot of people working with you and your team who are more proactive, and they seem to spend time sitting down with you first. What's happening there? Are you looking at their whole strategy and their starting point? What's going on? Why is it easier that way?
Yeah, definitely much easier that way, because we stop people doing things like, for example, somebody might have a chunk of savings in the bank and decide, I'll give up my job, my full-time employment, let's go full-time into property, and now I need to find a lender who will lend me the money on this buy-to-let or on this flip. And the property itself might have some quirks about it, so we have like more limited options, and they themselves are kind of limiting themselves because they've given up the job, and there's just less chances that we've got to make it work. So if they come to us and say, well, this is my plan, I want to get out of my job, I hate it, full-time employment, I want to go full-time into property, what's the best plan for me? I want to get to 10 buy-to-lets or whatever it may be, and we'll say to them, right, this is what we'd advise. If you do X, Y, Z, then we can go to these lenders, your interest rates will be lower, your fees will be less, you'll make more profit, and all it means is staying in your job for a little bit longer while you set up your limited company, along the same time. So planning ahead is so important. Yeah, if we know people's aspirations and goals, and what they're trying to achieve, what funds they've got, all that kind of stuff, we can help them plot a journey.
Right, gotcha. That's brilliant. I thought that was the case when I was seeing people going so quickly and so fast, and the way that you're able to help give them so many options. It makes sense, rather than going to the doctor once you're sick. Why don't we maybe go to someone like a personal trainer or a nutritionist, whoever, while you're healthy, and get even healthier and improve your immunity and give you more options and so on. So you're really a kind of key part of their team, their power team, as we like to say.
Oh, definitely. And there's no cost but a little bit of time to do that. Reach out straight away. Let's get to know you a little bit, find out your motivations, and then we can help you get to where you want to get to with less bumps in the road and faster.
Yeah, I love it. Something just popped into my head, that analogy there, the personal trainer. Everyone knows it's so easy to understand. Not all personal trainers are the same. I mean, that's so easy to say, but I think a lot of people don't realise not every broker's the same. Not every mortgage broker's the same. They don't have the same access. They don't give the same service. They don't have the same team. They don't know the same options. Yeah, is that fair to say?
Oh, massive. We were having a talk with the team yesterday about this, and we were saying to them, be proud of the knowledge that you guys have got and the lenders that you use, because there's a lot of, and I know a lot of these people, that there's brokers out there that will just stick to, it might be whole of market. Yes, we're independent, but in reality, they use 10 lenders or 8 lenders and it's because it's lazy broking. It's easy. They know that lender's criteria. They're just order takers as well. So it's like, what do you want, Mr. Client? They don't say, what's your plans over the next 5 years? Do you need to put your kids through uni? Do you need some funds in a few years' time to do that? So we get to know what their aspirations are like for the future. Who are they right now? What they're trying to achieve? And, we can use the whole market, and we actually do use most of the market as well. The advisors are so well trained, and that's it's not a USP, but I'll tell you, there's very few companies that do this, where expertise and first-class customer service is right at the top of their agenda. And that's what we're about. Where there's your one-man band broker that's obviously limited by support. Fortunately, we've got a number of advisors and support staff. There's your larger companies where you can just become a number in a small cog in a machine, and you don't get the service. Again, it reverts back to that panel of lenders. And we're in that sort of middle bracket where expertise and first-class customer service are the two things that keep coming to my mind that we want to stand out for.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, the amount of comments and questions that you answer inside that exclusive private group of people, and so many investors at all different levels. People who are just starting off, people who have been in the game, more than 10 years, and you're just always answering questions and wee problems that they've got, or maybe the likes of Jane, one of your key people at your team as well. She's firing off emails left, right, and centre. It's the service is there, which is beautiful to see. The market, the whole of market, these phrases that trip off the tongue, that fascinates me as well. I think the general public out there, they just walk down the high street and they think of the banks and the building societies. Oh, that's where I go to get my mortgage. And then there's other people who are a bit more maybe amateur investors, shall we call them. They know about the big names, the Mortgage Works, Birmingham Midshires, etc. But when you become more involved, more professional, you're opening your eyes to a bigger thing. There's an amount of lenders and products you've bought I've never heard of before. How on earth do you guys manage to make all those contacts, juggle all those balls, and just have all that information to hand? That's got to be one hell of a challenge.
It is. The hard bit really is staying on top of criteria, because criteria changes. So we have a matrix with all the lenders. So you've got all your 90 lenders or so, that's main residence and buy-to-let lenders typically. Right. And then when people want to do flips or projects, development finance, you've got a whole new load of lenders there. And the good thing about those lenders is they can be quite flexible. So they've got criteria, but very often they'll go off-piste. And once they've done a deal for a client, and they know that client, they know they can be paid back from the project, they're willing then to move the goalposts in a positive way for them. So we build up those connections and relationships. And, there might be, say, 10 to 20 lenders typically in the project world that we deal with. There's more that we can access and do access, but 90% of people fit within those. So we build up really solid relationships with those business development managers. So it's just about staying on top of your criteria, updating that matrix so we know pretty much where to go to, and then having conversations, putting the client in the best light. That's massively important. So a lot of lazy brokers won't do this, but all our staff do this. We drilled it into them that, you've got to take what you can from that inquiry, and when you're having a conversation with a business development person, put across the reasons why they should be doing this deal. Right. So we're kind of selling the client to the bank in a way. For those types of offerings.
I love it. Right, let's take a wee pulse on the market. This is something I love to do with you on our weekly support calls, because you always come in with how you're seeing things, what changes coming in, so on and so forth. So the folks listening in, remember, make sure you hook in all this good stuff I'm telling you about, getting that financial health check, shall we call it. What are all my different options, Richard? hook into Steve's team, go into the show notes, expressmortgages.co.uk, get in touch with them and have that chat, build up your own personal, unique journey, because they're going to help you with that. So what are you seeing, Steve? What's happening in the world these days? I know you've been chatting a lot about the loan to values changing and so forth. You're seeing different products coming in. What's the main things that you're seeing these days?
Yeah, and that shows the confidence in lenders. The loan to values are a big one. We all know that earlier this year, the 95% mortgage came back. I think it was the month of April. And most lenders have got an offering of that now. We've also seen higher income multiples, which again is allowing people to borrow more. Right. It might be pushing house prices up a little bit or part of that, but it's allowing first time buyers to get on the market. And criteria, we're seeing lenders' criteria loosen a little bit. So where they might have, I'll put that in simple terms, where they might have said, somebody has to be employed for 6 months in their current job for us to lend them money. Actually, now it's only 3. Or actually, we might do it from day one if we've got, a contract from their employer. So little things like that, because lenders are trying to win more business. Remember, banks have got to lend money. And they didn't lend as much in some cases last year, so they're under more pressure to lend this year. And by loosening criteria, they can lend money. Higher loan to values, they can lend money, and lowering interest rates. Now, lowering interest rates, we can't really go any lower because they're all already rock bottom. So one way around that is that loosening of criteria. Let's get more people on board, and they're the big things I'm seeing right now.
Right, I love it. You always get your ear to the ground, I should say. Yeah, it's always great to hear the wee snippets that are coming, and you seem to be ahead of the curve on a lot of things that are changing as well, which is brilliant. On property construction types, that seems a thing that trips up a lot of people. Something you've had to deal with, and your team comes in, because people just assume, well, it's a property, so I'm going to go and get a mortgage. But not all lenders look at it that way, do they?
No, not at all. And remember, it's about the property is one thing, but the client is another. So it might be that, yes, we can find a lender that's okay with a type of concrete construction and a flat roof. But if that client's just given up the job and gone self-employed day one, then it's a little bit trickier. It's adding something else into the mix. So there's normally a lender that will do like 99% of cases, I'd like to say, even if the rates are a bit higher or it's not quite as attractive. Remember, it's not forever. It's only to get that property. And then once the client's experience is up there, we can move to a better option down the road. But yeah, there's normally something. Lenders will look at location. That's massively important, as you know, in property. Resaleability. Can they sell that property on reasonably quickly if there's a problem? So if it's a flat roof concrete construction, not necessarily a problem. If it's in a half decent location, okay, yeah, we're a bit more comfy. Right. If it's in Beirut, then it's a different story.
Oh God, I think I've bought a few investment properties in those locations. We've all got to have our lessons, don't we?
Oh yeah. I've learned my lessons a few times.
Actually, lessons learned, experiences, opinions. I'm going to ask you next about how you found the business through the pandemic, through last year, all that kind of stuff. But I'm conscious of the folks listening in. So if they're going to be proactive, sit down with your team, get the chat, map out their journey, do that. If they do need to be reactive, maybe they've got an opportunity right now, they can go onto the website, they can go onto expressmortgages.co.uk and they can do an instant quote thing, can't they, where they can put in the details in. Yeah, brilliant. So folks listening in, make sure you can do one of those two things. So the pandemic, the COVID, 2020, oh my goodness. How did Express find it?
April and May, I remember the 2 months, April and May were pretty challenging in our numbers, which was the first lockdown, wasn't it? I think we went into lockdown towards the end of March.
Yeah.
And that was a case, as we looked at the numbers, they were less than half what they normally are. And it's like, oh shit. but you kind of, the positive side of you thinks that the powers that be aren't going to let this happen for too long. We're in the mire. They're working on strategies to get us out of this as best we can. And then June was very different. And I think with the stamp duty decision, that affected things massively in a positive way. And from June last year, actually, we've been very busy, as everyone in property knows, the market's gone pretty hot.
Yeah.
So it was challenging, and what's challenging as well is when you grow in a company. And I don't mind this. You're giving up your own personal income to reinvest in the company. You're doing it for the greater good. But sometimes you've just got to go with your gut feel and take a punt on it, because you don't know what's around the corner. But this is where you call on your experience and your gut feel, and you just kind of go, well, do you know what? I'm not reckless, but I believe the right thing to do is recruit right now, because we need to keep our service levels up. We're trying to grow this thing, so let's just go with that. If we're always sort of top notch with our service, why aren't we going to get more clients coming to us?
Exactly.
Do more business. So I've always believed that if you're willing to do that a little bit more, you don't see yourself as mediocre. You should never be worried about work. So that's like part of my ethos. So
love it.
And we've not looked back. I'm glad we did it, because if we hadn't have done it, then we'd just be sort of plodding along at the same numbers as we were last April and May. So
exactly. No, good man. And I suppose like every crisis, there's the challenges and the downsides, but there's also opportunities. There are things that pop out, and I think one of the biggest things I've seen recently, where against the stories of offices and businesses and shops and city centres and what have you suffering and having big challenges and working from home and stuff, out of that, there's been a lot of opportunities in the commercial world, and commercial to residential, conversions, etc. You've been helping a lot of people out with, bridging products, lending products in that area as well. Is that an area of growth that you're seeing?
Yeah, definitely. We got into that sector about 3 or 4 years ago, and built up our knowledge over those last 3 or 4 years. But I am seeing a lot of people reach out for commercial properties because they're getting them at a good price. And the combination of that and the planning laws have relaxed means that they can do something with that property and make some very good profit from it. So what we're helping to do is bring investors, the right investors, to the right projects, and marry the two up. We'll arrange the senior debt on the property, and then see it through to completion. So brilliant. Loads going on in that sector.
Fantastic. I tell you, I need to be respectful of your time here. I'm realising that I could just chat to you for hours, but this is the big relaunch day. You need to get to work. You've got a big team and a lot of stuff and people to serve. Let me finish by having a wee look back. What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges for you with the business and growing? And is there any wee hotspots of, that was lovely helping that particular client, or that was amazing just solving that unique problem? The kind of good and the bad, if you like. What kind of pops into your head when I say that to you?
Yeah, the main thing. So when you deal with a challenge, it strengthens your resolve for the next one. So getting through the credit crunch in 2008 to 10 kind of time was a major challenge at that time, and coupled with the Great Recession. And but that strengthened us up for things down the line. Like I've talked about litigation that we went through with the next business partner. It's not uncommon when you speak to lawyers. They're very busy with litigation. So that lasted. It felt like forever, and it taught me many lessons. It cost us a lot at the time, but we came out the other side, mediated, sorted all that. That's given me personally a lot of strength. So. I would say they're some of the biggest challenges that we've had.
Right, that's yeah.
And with the case study or client, just repeat that again, Rich. Sorry.
So that's the challenges. There's the kind of hard times. What's been the good times? What's been those wee defining moments of satisfaction and fulfillment? And yes, we did it.
Yeah, especially so when somebody's been elsewhere, can't be helped. They feel that they can't be helped. They come to us. We solve the problem. We actually listen to them. So that's the first thing. It's not difficult, is it?
Who knew? I
know. So listen to the concerns, note them down, and then we provide a solution, because it's likely that we've come across that before. And then seeing that client happy when it goes through to completion. And you do get a lot of satisfaction from that. People think the world of finance is quite transactional and cold, but it's not. So, helping people like that is massively what drives me.
Yeah. Brilliant. And then it drives into the service, drives it into the ethos of the team, everything. Yeah, and for any of the lesser brokers out there, Steve said, listen, that's Listen. Have a I've been very cheeky here. But hey, it's what I'm talking about. You know, not every personal trainer is the same. You know, not every broker is the same. This is the thing. We've got to work with the real sterling people. And we're going to have more options. We're going to have more opportunities and more chances for success. Fantastic, Steve. Where do you see things going for Express over the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Have you got plans?
Yeah. So we've just moved premises. The old premises would have held about 15 people at a squeeze, so we were hitting that limit. The new one's about double that number. So personally, I'd like to fill this place within 2 or 3 years for sure, and move on from that. I kind of see like a larger company, whether it's a 100-person company, but still offering that personal service. You know, not being sort of run by metrics, and you need metrics and KPIs, but not turning into a cold sort of corporate type operation. Something that still adds a lot of value to people's lives. You know, first class customer service, still expertise, and you've got like a big team when I look around the room. So yeah, that's where I see it going.
Brilliant. I think any listeners of yours who have been listening carefully will have noticed how many times you've said words like service, and that just exemplifies what Express do, what your whole team does. It's great. It's a great feeling knowing you're going on to bigger and bigger things, and it's a great feeling kind of knowing that you're released behind that secret curtain that I've known about myself, but we're sharing is caring. That's what it feels like, which is tremendous. So you new people who haven't worked with this amazing man and his team before, now's your chance. The world is open to you. Actually get a quality broker now and be that proactive person. You know, sit down with them, get the chat with them, share your story of what you're looking to do, and they'll work with you and work out all the options that you have probably not even considered, to be honest. So expressmortgages.co.uk, all the other different links are inside the show notes. You can get connected to this man on the social media world, and he and his team will no doubt help you. Steve, for today, thanks a million for your time on the show.
Thanks, Rich. That's been great.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Remember, with the guests that you just saw, go into the show notes for the page, because all of the links are there so that you can get in touch and to get more information. And talking about getting more information, more guests, more insights, more knowledge, etc., make sure you're subscribed. Get the subscription done, get the notifications on, and then we'll always keep in touch with you every single time a brand new show is going to come out. So thanks for tuning to This Week in Property.